Hey, I'm Brian,
I'm Kaylene.
and this is our veggie patch. Welcome.
We're going to be teaching you lots of things. First up, how to plan out your veggie patch, what to plant and when.
That's right, because not all vegetables grow in all seasons. We're going to look at whether it's a good idea for you to put in raised garden beds or to grow in the soil that you already have.
Yep, and then we're going to be showing you how to grow your own seedlings straight from seed.
And then how to protect your plants from pests and diseases. Now, we do everything organically here, so we don't use sprays and chemicals.
Then how to fertilize your plants and keep them nice and healthy.
That's right, and then knowing when to harvest as well. Sometimes it's difficult to know when is the right time to harvest, so we're going to teach you how to do that.
And how to collect those seeds.
That's right, after you've harvested, you can have then your own seeds growing, harvest it from the vegetables and use the seeds again next year. So you get free plants. We're also going to look at soil health. We're going to look at how to produce amazing compost and also look at crop rotation. There's a whole lot that's going to be happening in this series, and we're so glad that you're joining us. So get your notepad out, get your pen ready, and let's get stuck into it. All right, so we've got a lot to cover in this series, and we can't do it all in one episode because that's going to overwhelm you. So what are we going to look at today?
We're going to show you how to grow these beautiful seedlings straight from seed.
But hang on. If I were to set up a veggie patch, surely the first thing I want to do is actually build the beds. I want to get out there and build something.
Slow down. We need to get these gorgeous things growing first, because your beds can wait, because these take a couple of weeks or even longer for some plants.
That is true.
So, yeah.
That is true. So the first thing we're going to do is put the seeds in, let them grow, and then as they're growing, we're going to then build the beds. Now, you could grow seedlings in the actual beds outdoors, but it's a bit harder to do that, a bit more of an advanced technique, and you get lower germination rates. So what have we done instead?
So you need to create a beautiful little hothouse for these gorgeous little plants. It's like a little incubator. Like, you know how babies when they're first born sometimes need to go into incubator because they're a little bit small. It's the same with these little babies. They need to be looked after, and they'll grow nice and healthy and strong.
They need protection because sometimes in some areas you're going to have frosts, and that's going to damage the plants as well. So by creating that little hothouse, we're going to protect them. So I think what we're going to do is go inside the potting shed, and we're going to show you exactly how to do that. Now, when you start with growing veggies, you've got two options. You can either buy punnets of seedlings, or you can buy packets of seeds and then grow the seedlings yourself, which is a much cheaper way to do it than buying the punnets. So that's what we're going to teach you here today. Now, what I've got in front of me is two of our vegetable kits here. So we made these kits up to make it really easy for you to get started. And so this is our starter kit here, this one here. And inside it has, well, on the outside you can see it's the propagator, is what we're going to plant in. It's got the top 10 varieties of vegetable seeds that are the most popular, the ones to grow. So they're in that pack. We've got the specialised seed and cutting soil mix. We've got a tub of fertiliser. We've got the plant labels, the bottle top sprinklers, which we'll show you in a minute, and also the seed dispenser, which is going to be important soon as well. And so what we're going to do is plant this tray out with seeds and just show that process of doing that. So if you want to start by actually filling that tray up for us in the soil there. And then I'll just highlight that we've got another Veggie Starter Kit. This one is the Deluxe kit. So if you're really serious about growing veggies at home, this one here has got enough seed for a full year of growing. So it's got the top 24 varieties of vegetables to grow in Australia. And it also has the other elements. It's got 2 tubs of fertiliser. What it does have in here extra is a heat mat, and I'll explain a bit later why that can be important as well. But you also get 2 propagators in this kit too. Okay, so you're putting the soil in. I can see you're doing it very gently there, rather than just kind of, you know, or I'm getting in trouble now already. So rather than pressing it down.
Yeah,
so why is that?
We don't want it compacted, so so that the seed can germinate nice and easy. If it's really compacted, it makes it harder for the seed to germinate.
I guess that's true because the seeds are only going to send out a tiniest little root, and so we need the soil nice and soft to be able to do that.
Yep.
Okay, it looks pretty good.
Yep.
Okay. All right. What we might also do is I'm going to clear out the soil from underneath the tray, because when we water this, the water's going to drain through this into that tray there, and it's going to act as a little bit of a reservoir. Now you don't want too much water in the bottom tray, but if there's like a few millimeters, 5 millimeters of water in there, that's fine, because the plants will draw that water back up again. And so we've got our packets of seeds there.
Just choosing what we'd like to.
That's right. So what we probably should do is refer to the planner to work out what varieties we're going to grow at the moment. It's going to be important, isn't it?
Yes.
So this is our veggie sowing planner here. This is the A3 laminated version, which I highly recommend you get. You can also get the digital download if you want it instant, or get both is probably a good option. And what this shows us here is it shows us all the months across the year, and it shows us what seeds to plant in different months. And the way you read this, we'll just have a look in the close-up camera here, is that first of all you find yourself on the map. So we live in Sydney, so we're in the green zone over here, and green is temperate zone. And so then we go, anything on the chart that's green applies to us, anything that's other colours doesn't apply. So then we go, okay, what month are we in? Well, we're just coming into October as we're recording this, so we've got to look at what vegetables we can grow in October. So I'm just going to lay this down so we can have a close-up look at the camera. So over here, if we look at this column, so remember we're looking at the green section, and so we go across to October, and we can see that we can grow capsicum at the moment, we can grow chili at the moment, we can grow corn at the moment. And the reason why all these are able to be grown at the moment is they're all the fruiting vegetables, which are in group number 3, which we'll explain in a bit more in a minute. And they grow in all the warmer months very typically. So what we're going to do is work out first of all which ones do we want to actually sow. So let's have a look at.
I've grabbed out some zucchini.
Zucchini, that's a good.
I know we don't have any of that, and that's part of.
It's part of that group because it's a fruiting vegetable.
Yep.
When we say fruiting vegetable, it doesn't mean like apples and lemons, but it means that there's a fruit hanging off the vine. So like a pumpkin is a fruit in a sense, in that it's hanging off the vine, same as tomatoes and things. So you heard me mention about group number 3. So I'll give you just a brief run through of what crop rotation is all about. So we have on this chart 4 groups. So we have this section here is group number 1. It's called rest and rejuvenate. We've got group number 2 here, and this is the nitrogen lovers. And then over here we've got group number 3, nitrogen in moderation, and down the bottom here is group 4, and that is nitrogen not really helpful. And so what we've done is split the vegetables into those groups based on their nitrogen needs, so that you can then run through the cycle as you're growing. And we'll explain that more in more detail in one of the future videos, so don't worry if you got a little bit confused just then, but I just wanted to give you just a little sample of what this is about and why they're in these groups, but we'll explain it in another video.
Okay, so we're going to do zucchini, Brian. So on the packs it tells you how many we want to do. Okay,
so again, it's written on the pack, and most seed packs will tell you how deep it's got to go in, but we should refer to the chart because it's actually written on here as well. Cool. So let's have a look on the chart. So we can see zucchini's here. We know it's in the green, it's in October, so we're all good. Let's look at what it says. So it says to plant it to a depth of 20 millimeters, and that's all we need to worry about at the moment because we're just sowing seeds. So we want to go 20 millimeters deep, which is fairly deep for a seed to go in. So let's keep that and start that off.
Alrighty. Zucchinis are big seeds. They're almost like pumpkin seeds.
Okay, that's why they need to be planted deeper, because they're a larger seed. So
I've got them all out of the pack. Got them all. So they're all the zucchini seeds. You can use anything. I'm just using a pencil because it's a nice, easy thing to use. You could use, I don't know, stick.
Well, if you've got skinny fingers, you could do it.
No,
not a job for me. I've got thick fingers, but if you've got skinny fingers.
And then it's just pop it in, smooth it over.
we'll just swap around so that we can do it so the camera can see. So when we're putting it, just putting it into the hole, push it down a little bit, and then pack the soil around it like that. Very gently, that's all you need to do. So we'll push that one in, push it down, pack the soil. I'm not pressing the soil down too hard. And push that in, and there we go. So keep in mind, something like a zucchini plant grows into quite a large vine. And so you actually probably only need to sow a few of these. We've probably overdone it planting all these.
We probably.
Yeah, that's probably enough to do several crops. So it's going to go into a vine and give you lots of zucchinis there.
Or a couple to give a friend.
And the important thing we need to do now is to label these. And we need to keep organised, because especially if you're a newbie at gardening, you won't be able to tell what each plant is when they sprout. In our Facebook group, we regularly have people saying, "Can anyone tell me what this is? I have no idea, it just sprouted up." I think we need to sharpen the pencil. The zucchini, or the zucchina, it's a new variety, is it?
Zucchini.
I think it's anyway, it's an I at the end, but okay. Spelling is not something that Kaylene's real good at, but fantastic at gardening.
And then we got to put the date. So
Yep, so we put the date just as a reference so that we know in future how long this one took to germinate. It's interesting to look back on there. Yeah, we've got to just pop it around this way so the camera can see. Okay, now it's very important to do the watering here. Now you've got a bit of a contraption here that looks pretty cool. So what do we got here?
This is the bottle top sprinkler that you can attach to any of your soft drink bottles, and it just gives a nice soft
gentle watering. That's right.
So it doesn't damage or mess, because you know if you use the hose, sometimes the whole dirt will just fly out.
That's okay. So these are actually included. You get 3 of these in the Veggie Starter Kit and in the Deluxe kit. Yes. So they're a great thing. So a lot of people write great reviews about those. Are we going to put some more seeds in, do you think?
No.
I think we are. Yes, put some more seeds. I want to put some small ones in.
Okay.
She's getting lazy.
I've got to think of which ones though. We'll go some more broccoli. I love my broccoli.
Yeah. So keep in mind the sowing chart is telling you when it's good to sow the seeds. So some seeds you can sow, but they're not ready to plant out because the frost will affect them. And so when it says on the chart that you can sow, that means sow in the tray generally, and then plant out when they're ready to go. So what Kaylene's using at the moment is a little seed dispenser.
Yes.
And so it just allows you to have more control, particularly of small seeds.
So these are really tiny, so I've set it on the smallest one, which is number 1. And then hopefully it'll let one seed out at a time. And then broccoli, we're looking at how deep, 6 mil deep.
So about 1/2 centimetre deep.
We're playing basketball. Done.
So there we go. You've got a couple of seeds in there, but it doesn't matter if you've got 2 seeds in the same hole because only one of them may sprout. Sometimes you don't get all the seeds actually sprouting. So when they do sprout, you probably remove the second one and just pick the strongest one to keep going there.
And
so
again, very important, you've got to water it in, because the whole thing with seedlings, you need them to stay moist. So see how the soil here is really dry? So you need to keep it moist all the time. So that's why we gently water it like that. And then once we're all done, we pop our little, I haven't done the label, but I will.
Better do that.
You can talk about that.
All right, so we'll just make up a label there. And then when we're finished, we're going to put the dome on the propagator, and that's what creates that nice protected environment for the seedlings to grow. Very good. In the top, we've got the vents just here, and so you turn this to open the holes so that the air can come out of there, especially if you've got too much moisture building up in there as well. And then we would generally position this in a sunny spot. If you're in the middle of summer though, don't put it in full sun. It needs to probably go just in morning sun in a protected spot. But in winter, you'd probably put it in full sun. So you've got to vary that a bit depending on where you're living in Australia as well. So we don't want to cook them, but we do need them to have lots of light. If your seedlings are starting to grow very spindly and tall, that generally means they haven't got enough light. Now, we haven't put any fertilizer on them at this stage, have we?
No.
No, because we don't want to overdo it at this stage. They don't need heavy fertilizer here. If you did so, it would actually probably kill them.
Yeah.
So we don't want to do that. Now, something that we've got in this kit over here that in the Deluxe kit that makes this one special, apart from having 2 propagators, is we've got a heat mat in there. And why is the heat mat important?
The heat mat's important to get the warmth happening, especially if you're in a cooler climate. It helps keep the seeds at a warm temperature so they will germinate really easily. And also it actually helps promote the roots. So once it does germinate, it helps promote the roots to come down because they're heading towards the heat. So
that's right. So when you first get them, they're rolled up pretty tight. So you just got to turn it on so it heats up and then roll it back the other way, and that will flatten it out again. So this goes underneath the tray, and again, because I said this one's really rolled, you'll have to hold that one down, I think. And that gently heats the tray. As Kay said, it makes a really big difference. We've found that seedlings that or seeds that have a heat tray underneath will germinate much faster and much stronger than if they don't. So if you're having trouble getting germination, get yourself one of these heat mats or get it in the Veggie Deluxe kit is the way to go as well.
So in the kits too, you do have the fertilizer, but as Brian just said before, you know, don't put them on now.
No.
It's more once you've transplanted them into your veggie beds, then pop some of that on.
That's right. So this will be ideal to sprinkle around the vegetables once they're planted outside.
Yep.
So we're generally looking to see when the plants get to probably 7 to 10 centimetres tall, that's when we're going to be planting them out. We're also looking to see how good the roots are.
Roots and also the leaves, when they're starting to get the more mature leaves, not because they first sprout and they get their kind of
You get the little heart-shaped kind of leaves when they first come up.
Yep.
So they're the first kind of seed leaves that come out, so they're not your proper leaves. After that, you'll actually get the proper branching starting to happen, and that's when you start to know it's time for these to actually be planted out. But there's a step you've got to do. You've got to harden them up before you plant them out. And the way you do that is you'll see the plants will start to get towards the top of here, and you go, okay, now it's time for us to take the lid off and leave the lid off. And just keep an eye on the moisture and keep it moist, and that's hardening the plants up, ready to take them outside. If you don't do that step, what will happen is you'll take them outside, and as soon as the sun hits or it gets cold, they'll all start to wilt because it's just too much shock for them. So just remember that step as well. Now we're going to need to protect these new baby seedlings when they do go into the veggie beds.
Yes.
So you've got something in your hands there that's going to really help, and that's our beer snail trap. And this is like an organic way of stopping snails, essentially. What you do is that you bury this in your garden up to this level here, and then you take the lid off and you just pour some beer in the top, just a little bit. I know the guys are going, I'm going to give up my beer. This is sacrilege here, but just buy some cheap beer and put it in there. Snails aren't too fast. And then the snails crawl into here and the slugs crawl into here, and they love beer, who'd have thought? And they drink the beer, get drunk, and die very happy.
The more yeastier the beer, the better. So if you're finding it's not attracting your snails or your slugs, it may be that factor. So another option you can do is just get yeast that you use to bake some bread, plop that into some warm water, and then pour it into your snail traps.
But then the snails won't die as happy as they would if they had the beer. So I think you should just go with the beer. Go with the beer. So, and one more thing we wanted to say, look, if you've got any questions, you probably do, if you've got any questions, the place to ask them is in our Facebook group. And we have a wonderful Aussie Gardener Facebook group. There's like, last count, 25,000 people in there. So it's a very busy group, and it's a fantastic place. You can ask all sorts of questions. There's no such thing as a dumb question in that group. No. Everybody's welcome, from total beginners to more experienced. In fact, a lot of the experienced gardeners in there actually help us out a lot, and we thank you a lot because you jump in and help with answering questions, because we can't be there to answer all of them all the time. So we really appreciate you guys helping us out like that. So join up with the Facebook group. But apart from that, that's all for us today. Hopefully you're motivated and you're going to give this a go and just go on this journey with us of growing your own fresh veggies at home. We'll see you in the next episode.